Hey, guess who just hit 6,000 subscribers? Time to make some content, and since my new Mega Man video is still a ways away, I figured why not do a quick Q&A to celebrate the occasion, and I'm not really going to spend too much more time on an intro, so let's get right on into it. Micah Key asks, can I get $5? No. Lotus asks, can I get $10? Guys! New Lore Master asks, current Magic the Gathering lore or Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson Dune? Having never finished a Dune novel, I'm gonna have to go with Dune. It could not possibly be worse than current Magic lore. Zaraha asks, so what did the fox say?
I suppose you think that was terribly clever.
Grapplefox asked, what even caused you to pick up Magic to begin with? And I believe I've told this story before, but back in 2014, I was getting out of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I believed Yu-Gi-Oh! Was getting just too bad for my taste, and I was aware of Magic. I had read the Brothers' War and other stories at the time. I just wasn't interested in the game until 2014. Then some friends got me into it, and I had a blast, and I've been playing it ever since. Eld asks, if you could reboot the lore from a specific point forward, where would your reboot start, and what elements, stories from modern lore would you adapt into your reboot, i.e. Kamigawa? If I had to start from scratch, I would probably start right after the end of, not necessarily Agents of Artifice, but probably shortly after that. I would do away with the Eldrazi nonsense. I would do away with the Gatewatch nonsense. A lot of modern lore would be kind of like what was going on in those early Planeswalker novels. Instead of having a story focused on one plane, we would be following a specific character or a small cast of characters jumping around the planes and taking care of smaller problems. None of this apocalypse every week kind of nonsense that Wizards is doing these days. As for what I'd incorporate, honestly not a lot. There is a lot of modern lore that I'm dissatisfied with, but I would absolutely keep the Living Guild Pact aspect of Jace's story in, because I liked him in that role, even if he was only in that role for a very brief window of time. Steve asks, what's your beard care routine? I don't have one. I wash it as much as I wash the rest of my body, and I comb it before I go to sleep at night. That's kind of it. Jace asks, if you could have an MTG block set on any plane, which would you choose and why? You get to oversee every step of the block's creation and nothing ships until you're happy with it. Well, hot diggity dog, I would love to see a full block of Fiora, the Conspiracy set. We already have Conspiracy 1 and Conspiracy 2, so really, we just need a third Conspiracy set on Fiora, following up the revolution against Marchesa, and I would be absolutely happy with that. Steve asks, your go-to dish? I'm poor, so eggs or instant ramen. Redco asks, you get to erase one card from the game, completely, utterly, from both existence itself and also from every single timeline and everyone's collective memory. The card never has existed and never will. Which card is it? The easy answer is one of the Universes Beyond cards, maybe the One Ring, or maybe Orcish Bowmasters, or maybe even Ragavan, that little fuck, but I'm gonna go with a particularly traumatic memory. You see, when I was just getting into EDH, there was a very specific deck I played against that I had an absolutely miserable time with, and that was Grand Arbiter Augustine IV, and I had such a miserable game that dragged on for so long that I actually almost just stopped playing EDH right then and there. So yeah, that would be my answer. Get rid of Augustine, fuck that guy. Even today, almost 8 years later, I still absolutely hate thinking about that match. It was awful. Turthna asks, how did we get to the point we're at, where Wizards has become incapable of putting out good Magic sets, and what could have been done to avoid this? Complacency, simple as. Wizards is kind of lazy, and they don't have a whole lot of motivation to improve. As for what could have been done to avoid this, I believe if the community as a whole had firmly rejected Secret Layers, had firmly rejected Universes Beyond, and products like Collector Boosters, I feel like Wizards would not have pushed that, but a lot of people have bought those products, so Wizards is heavily incentivized to continue to release them. This is one of those you dug the grave situation. Once people stop buying these garbage products, Wizards will stop releasing these garbage products, and until people realize that, we're stuck in this hellhole. Will asks, are any of your card sleeves lucky or cursed? Are you superstitious about any of those life hacks for TCG duels or pack opening? Which basic land gets the best art? As for sleeves, I will never use Eclipse sleeves again because I bought 3 packs of those damn things back in like 2018, 2019, and they fell apart so fast. I was actually shocked at how terrible their quality was, so I'm never going to use this again. As for superstitious, I'm not really superstitious towards any like life tips or tap your deck a certain way to get the best luck, none of that nonsense. As for which basic land gets the best art, the Guru Swamp, I believe, from Therese Nielsen is perhaps the most beautiful basic land in the game, and I really wish I had one of them in my possession. Ross asks, best wife, Motoko Kusanagi, from Standalone Complex, not the film. Aqua asks, should I buy Bitcoin? Look man, I am not a financial advisor or even successful financially, but personally I wouldn't. Davriel Kane asks, what's your favorite novel? And I know some people are probably expecting a fantasy novel, maybe Conan or Red Sonja, but no, my favorite novel is Resident Evil 0 Hour by S.D. Perry. It's a loose adaptation of Resident Evil 0, and I absolutely love it. I've read it easily over a dozen times, and it's the one book I can continue to go back to just to relax and have something light to read. Spellseeker asks, my favorite card and or mechanic? Well, my favorite card is easy. That is Sliver Queen, my commander, and my absolute most prized possession. Love her so much. As for mechanic, hard to say. I can't think of one that I really like more than the rest. Maybe Prowess, just because it's so cool, but yeah, I don't really have a favorite mechanic. Giga asks, when will we reclaim Dwarvenheim from those damn elves? Soon! I swear, soon! Grapple Fox asks, why is the concept of change so scary? Because humans are creatures of habit and complacency. We like being comfortable, and we like getting in kind of a rhythm, and when things come along to shake that up, we get antsy, we get nervous, and we get angry, and we're not always comfortable with changing things up, and some of us just have to deal with this. Sebastian asks, Zatch Bell video when? Soon enough, it's on my list. What's the meaning of life? 42. Alara lore when? Don't get your hopes up, and face reveal when? Also, don't get your hopes up. My face is out there, it's just not something I feel the need to put up on YouTube. The Corpse Exploder has a litany of questions. Have you ever been burned badly on a product? Yes. Streets of New Capenna, I lost a lot of money on New Capenna, and it's the product that convinced me to stop buying cases of Magic product, regardless of, like, how much I might like it. What's the hardest and easiest product to move? The easiest is always fresh singles. Release weekend is always good, regardless of the TCG, because people always want those new cards. So you crack open a box, put those singles out there on TCG Player, and people will eat those fuckers up. As for the hardest, vintage anything. Vintage Magic, vintage Pokemon, vintage Yu-Gi-Oh! That stuff will sit on your inventory for months or years until the right buyer comes along who's just looking for that particular card. Have you ever had an issue with a grading service misrepresenting quality? I ask because the ones around here hand out 10s and 9s like candy. I wouldn't call it an issue just because I think it's the funniest thing ever, but here, have this. It's like a rattle, it's hilarious. What should I do for my chronic sleep paralysis? I have no idea. Do people actually experience sleep paralysis? That sounds fucking terrifying. I keep, assuming people are just bullshitting me when they say that they get paralyzed and are forced to, sit there in their bed trying to fall back asleep. That sounds horrifying. I couldn't help you, buddy. Will asks, a favorite non-MTG character? Obviously, Captain Gordon, Defender of Earth! Orion asks, who's your favorite MTG character who first appeared in the past 2 years? If you put a gun to my head, this question might just fucking kill me. Was Streets of New Capenna less than 2 years ago? If so, then I guess Lord Xander, who's the only character from that entire storyline who had anything resembling an actual personality and motivation, and they killed him. He was literally the only halfway interesting character in that set, and they killed him. Fucking great job, Wizards. Untrained Ear asks, will we ever get a proper Gerard Capuchin card? I highly doubt it. We've had 3 now, and they've all been terrible. And do you think MTG's story will sort itself out before the heat death of the universe? Also, no, I do not. Link7779, who is a new subscriber, asks, are you excited for the return to Lorwyn, or does the last few years of Magic's storytelling leave you more skeptical? I sincerely wish that I could be optimistic about our upcoming return to Lorwyn, but I know Wizards of the Coast at this point, and I have zero faith in their ability to give me anything resembling a satisfactory product or storyline, so no, I'm deeply concerned about a return there. And that's all I've got for you guys today. A special thanks to everybody who asked questions, and a special thanks to all the viewers for getting us to 6,000 subscribers. Hopefully that number can balloon in the future, but until then, I will see you in the next one.